I think the six were five.
Good evening, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So we'll wait for some others to join. No, last time there were 100 dot, then this time only 27 so far. Very seven then.
Good evening, sir. Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Marine. So we have 37 so far. Last time I think we had 100 and something. So first class එක මෙපා වෙලා ගියත් දන්නෙත් නෑ අනිත් කට්ටිය බලමු මේ ක්ලාස් එක කොහොමද කියලා.
No, sir, nothing like that. I think people are on the way today, working day, no? What is that?
Yeah, we normally have it. We started normally at 6:30, right? We normally had it at 6:30, but then we felt okay, we'll move it to 7K. That I thought it will be easy for me also if I shift it to 7 so that I can also go home. I think being a Friday, anyway, I got stuck in office. So I don't know how many of you guys are stuck in office.
Yeah, tell me, Rajesh. Hmm. Mhm.
Guys, do you think we should start?
Yes, sir. We can start.
And we can start. Yeah, we have 82 people
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. So we got 81. So I guess this would be kind of the number that we're looking at, I guess, going forward. Right. Okay. So you can see the screen, and if you have questions, raise your hands or type it in, and I will take you guys through. All right. So today we are going to look at the first chapter, chapter 1. This is going to be the most important chapter, guys, because this basically lays out the reason as to why you are doing the research, right? Why you are doing the research, right? Because as I said last time, you need to have a reason as to why you are embarking on this research, right? So here you are. You need to ensure that you introduced in the first paragraphs as to why you are basically what is actually the background, the reason to it, right? And ensure that the reader is able to relate the title with the background that you're giving so that they know this is where it's going to end up or you're going to go, etc. and so on, right? Normally, we give introduction saying that, okay, this is what it is, and this is how we are progressing. Right, this is why you took on this topic and how the world trends. So normally you can kind of start off with maybe a global perspective and then funnel it into a local perspective as well. Right. Now, the topic selection, right? The topic selection, right? The topic selection can be where like can be of your personal interest, right? It can be of your personal interest, right? And also you could also look at anything that comes from your organization support as well, right? I mean, I mentioned last time, even though you may have an interest in doing something, but then you will find that the organization may not be able to support you, right? But it's always important if you can get your personal interest along with the what do you call you can actually you can actually look at along with your personal interest whether the uh, the organization can also come on board so that you can do something for the organization, right? That is also possible for you to do, right? So that can be another option that you have that you could do, right? And always remember the ethical issue as well, right? The ethical issue. See, it is important to understand that you can do something in your organization, but whatever that you do in your research is going to be published. So it's important that you get their clearance first, right? Ethical clearance to say that, look, this is yours, you have done it, and you are basically, before you do anything, you want to get their consent so that if it's published, you don't get into problems, right? See, some people, they publish something without the knowledge of the employers. But then what happens is you publish and then your supervisor, sometimes your supervisor would say that, or not your supervisor in your organization might say that, oh no, this is okay, like you go ahead, you don't need approval, I'm giving you the approval. After you publish the research, right, you might find your supervisor, right, your organization supervisor has left the organization, right? You might find the person has left the organization. Then what happens, right? Then you find yourself in a situation where the supervisor has left the organization. You have now published, right? Tomorrow, somebody in your organization reads your research and goes and tells the new supervisor, did you know there was a research done by our organization like this and this and this? And to your surprise, you find that the new supervisor will ask you for a, I hope you got a clearance. And then you're saying, no, my early supervisor said, okay. And then only you realize, well, the earlier supervisor did not have the authority to give you clearance. And then probably you don't have anything in writing to kind of accept it, anything in writing to say that you got the approval. This can put you into unwanted problems, guys. This can put you into unwanted problems where you might find yourself in a situation which can actually make you even lose your job, because if you have some data that is there and which is not been authorized, and people would ask, how did you get this data? How did you get this? And you don't have any records to prove so, isn't it? So it can actually become a huge issue for you guys, right? So make sure that you do not compromise, on getting the relevant clearances in writing and get the relevant approvals. Okay, get the things in writing and get the relevant approvals, guys, right? That is going to be very important, right? Make sure that whatever that you're doing is relevant to your study, right? And there is what do you call a relevance in your subject, your specialized area, etc., and so on. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay, right. So it's important that you ensure that there is some relevance to your study in the area of your work, and then you're contributing to the area of your study as well, right? Make sure it contributes to the field of your work, the research that you're doing. It's not something that you're doing for the sake of doing. Keep in mind the time constraints, right? Keep in mind the time constraints, because you will have 3 months, right? Nothing more than nothing. I mean, you can get a 4th month, but then I would say plan it for 3 months, guys, right? And as I said last time, keep the breadth and the scope very narrow, right? Don't go to kind of do something for the entire Sri Lanka. Try to keep it very narrow, because as I keep on saying, Cardiff wants to know whether you can actually do a proper research. That's what they're looking at, whether you have the technical abilities, how we are doing it, and what needs to be done. That's what they're looking at, right? And then if there are any economic factors, any cost involved in doing research, I mean, I didn't mention it last time. We had some students, like, and you must remember they were full-time students. So they were able to go and do a research with uh, Kiel supermarket about fizzy drinks, how the product was going to be kind of why Kick Cola was not doing so great while the others were doing great. So there were some concerns like that as well, right? So it's important to understand that the economic factors, right? The economic factors could also be there, because in that student's case, the student used the family members. But if you were to use in another research, if you were to use say enumerators, then you may have to pay them. So that is also a concern and a question, guys, right? So keep in mind. But I don't think most of the time MBA students go all the way up to, unless you guys outsourcing your research where you will pay, which is again unethical, guys. So enumerators, you're not going to employ enumerators and do things. So in that case, that should not be a major issue. Okay. So selection of topics, right? You can get it from your journals, books, dissertation in your field. So when you read latest journals, you're going to see some of the modern topics that have been discussed. When you read books also, you're going to get the same thing, what is currently happening, what are some of the concerns that are there, etc., and so forth, right? And then you will find that maybe other dissertations that have been done in your own field might give you an understanding as to what are some of the gaps, what needs to be done, right? What needs to be done, and future researchers. So maybe those can also lead you to select a topic, right? Conferences, workshops, right? Sometimes presentations, seminars, those can also give you lead to a topic. Recommendation about future researchers by other researchers can also give you what do you call a topic. Courses that you follow, workplace issues, your supervisors, expert consultations from many of your consultants, and any online library services can also give you some kind of the areas that is for research topics, etc., and so forth, right? So this is something that you need to understand, right? And look and search for areas that you think might be interesting, where you need to support it with a problem in your organization so that you can pursue. Okay. Any questions so far, guys? Any questions so far?
Sir, one
Yes.
sir, excuse me,
Malik,
one
yeah, go ahead.
clarification, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, how about the referencing? It's when we are doing a research, the references should be into the relevant or the current, or else we can get the practical one for that.
You are talking about referencing for the what? Your
Yes,
research, right?
yes, sir.
Right.
The
Is
first one,
it
the
is it
journal books and
referencing
the
for you? Is it referencing for you to select the title or referencing as part of your research work?
no, it's a part of the research because as a conclusion, what will happen as in to be shown. That's why.
Yeah. So as part of your research, you will have, as part of your research, you will anyway have what do you call, you will anyway have uh, your reference list at the end, right? And if there are any bibliography, you will have bibliography as well, right? So those things will always be there, right? That is going to be part of your research. So you will have a reference list and you could also have your bibliography. I mean, it's the same principle applies to what you guys followed in your assignments, right? So no change in that, right? So you will use the Harvard referencing. Okay. Does that answer your question, Malit?
Yeah, that's right, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, obviously for the research, we're looking at least around 30 to 40 researchers, right? I mean, references, sorry, 30 to 40 references that will kind of give you that understanding, right? And you need to bring it into your thesis. Okay, so it's not going to be 10 or 15. You need to look at least a good 30 to 40. Okay.
Good afternoon,
Yes,
sir.
got it.
Yeah, that was Nishant. This is Malik. Good afternoon.
Yes, Nishanta. Oh, this is Malit now. Okay, fine.
Yeah, this is Malik now. Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, just wanted to check when selecting the topic. You were saying you were referring to always to your organization or organization that we are going to research on. Can't it be the industry as a whole rather than selecting one topic? Can we do the research on industry, something, for example, I'm on supply chain. So as an example, let's say during the pandemic, there were disruptions. So rather than focusing on one organization, can't we do a research on these disruptors, overcoming them, and finding a solution for the industry itself?
No, Malit. I mean, there is no restriction as such. You can do something for the industry. The biggest challenge, what we have seen based on the past researchers, etc., and so on, is that uh, is that the time that you have to do something. You can justify the problem, you say, but how do you collect your questionnaire? Whether how do you can go and get some interviews across the industry? How do you kind of segregate the industry like the top tier, middle tier, or low tier? How many of them are going to be there? What is going to be a sample size? So all those things have to be counted in as well, Malik. So like, even though in the first chapter you might have certain things that is very, very interesting, but you must also look at the practical aspect of the third chapter. How are you going to do it? How many would respond, etc., and so forth. You get it?
Yes, sir. So I think once
That
we
is where the
finish all,
limitation and the restriction is. Sorry?
I think once we are done with this research methods, all 7 classes, I think we'll have a better idea on selecting the topic, right?
I hope so. Because sometimes, even though after the seventh topic, also people come with the industry. So then I don't know where they missed it, right? Sometimes I ask them, classic ETN have classic ETN. Koi classic ETN classic. So that's how it is sometimes. No, I mean, like, it's again the interest and the passion to do something for the industry, but the challenge being that you will not be able to complete it because of the time constraints.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So we're looking at a topic. So these are some of the sample topics, guys. I took the sample topics so that I can go on to show you the progress also. So we are saying scheduled departures of airlines improves revenue. A case for Sri Lankan Airlines. Customer satisfaction improves market growth, right? Again, a topic that we can actually look upon, right? So scheduled departure of airlines improves revenue, a case for Sri Lankan Airlines. So that is your title. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to say that scheduled departures improves revenue, the cause and effect, right? That's what we're trying to do, the cause and effect. Scheduled departures of airlines can improve revenue. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, guys, right? And what we are doing, we are basically limiting only to Sri Lankan airlines. We are not looking at the airlines that are arriving in Sri Lanka or the region whatsoever. No, just this. Introduction. We say this chapter makes a case for the significance of the problem, right? So the introduction should be basically to build that context as to why you are selecting this area in the first place, why the airline industry becomes important, why Sri Lankan Airlines, right? And how important it is, and how some of these indicators help airlines to improve revenue, right? Right. So it should be informative so that a person, you need to think of it from the angle that the supervisor may not know the subject, the other person doesn't know the subject, the reader doesn't know the subject, but only you know the subject. So you need to write it in a way that is interesting so people will kind of come and kind of start reading, right? Will come and kind of start reading. That is something very important, guys. Right? So it's like getting a book published, getting people to come and read it, right? So in the background, you give an introduction to the overall study, why it becomes significant, right? Some of the global things, etc., and so on, and some of the professional knowledge and practice that you see, right? That can actually constitute you to the kind of the background of the study, etc., and so forth, right? Then you need to come into a section called the research problem identification, right? Now, this is the crucial piece of the entire research and also chapter 1, right? Now, as I said, as a business admin research, you need to justify and prove that you are doing this research, right, in order to find a solution for a problem, right? You're doing this research in order to find a solution for the problem, right? In order to find a solution for the problem. So what you do here is you basically say that, look, the problem statement, you could say it includes a brief, well-articulated summary of the literature and so on, right? And you can bring in some second chapter reading into this, but I don't think you don't need to, right? But what we need most importantly is to talk about what actually pushed you to do this research, the symptom, right? We are basically talking about the symptom of the research, right? So symptom of the problem is very simple, right? What prompts you to say that there is a problem? What are the indicators and what are the alarms? So for example, like say if we were in class, right? And if you guys were very engaging group and I see someone like who's constantly been asking questions and bringing in new ideas, suddenly I see the person in class and the person is like just trying to keep the head up, right? Just trying to keep the head up. So it's kind of an indicator or gives me a symptom to say that there's something wrong here, right? There's something wrong. And then what I do, I basically come to the person and basically ask what's wrong. And the person says, look, I'm having fever, I'm not feeling well. Now I have a justification that this has happened, right? Now I have a justification that this has happened, right? So the symptoms of the problem is that is that it's an indicator. It's something that gives you the hunch to say there's something wrong, right? Right. So that basically leads you to go and find what is the problem, what are the justification, etc., and so forth, right? So, for example, by looking at this chart, right, do you see there's a problem?
Yes.
Right. So, so,
Yeah.
so you feel there's a problem. What is the problem?
So if you look at the rolling 12 months net profit, it's going in minus.
Exactly. Right. So it's a very straightforward, simple thing, right? It's a very straightforward, simple thing. Where you find that, look, I mean, the profits of the Sri Lankan Airlines was good until 2008, when Emirates was balancing it. Then after that, you find everything is dipping down, and we are now start making losses, right? This is what we are basically looking at, right? We have started making losses, right? So there is something wrong here. What could be the reason? What could be the reason? We'll take another scenario. So we looked at the industry, no? So we're looking at industry, but here more than the industry, can someone tell me which mobile company is having a problem, right? I mean, so these are the legends that are down there, right? This is the very old data, right? But let's play with this data and say like, which is the phone company that is having a problem?
Samsung, sir?
Samsung, right? Anybody else has any other results? Any other answers?
Apple, sir.
Apple.
Sir.
Okay. All right. So if you look at Apple, like, so if you take Apple, you will find that, okay, Apple starts off the first quarter with 14, but they tend to always do well in the fourth quarter because of the new products that they develop, right? But in between, they have been kind of keeping to the 14 and it has not dipped, right? Except that is 18 and 17 in the first quarter. If you look at it, they have done well from 17 to 18. 12 has been a third quarter, but there's been a dip in the second quarter. But in the following second quarter, there is also 1% dip, right? But as someone said earlier, right, it looks as though Samsung is the one that is in problem. You start at 22, but you never came to the point of 22 again. You went dipping down, you came to 21, and then you started dipping again, right? So this is a symptom to say there is something wrong in the Samsung products, right? The Samsung products, right? Now this is how you kind of, excuse me, guys. This is how you guys bring your symptoms of the problem, right? You bring something to indicate that by looking at this only, you got triggered to say there's something wrong here, right? You got something wrong here, right? So is this clear? Is this clear, guys? Because yeah, identifying the symptom is one, justifying the problem is another, right? There are two different things. First, you are saying what prompted you, the symptom. So first you need to have in chapter 1 your symptoms, guys. That is very clear, right? Your symptoms has to be there, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, there's something that has been typed here. If the selected area is a well-known sector such as the Sri Lanka insurance market or bond market, would it be acceptable to use secondary data? This is because I'm currently working abroad and collect the data directly from organization in Sri Lanka is not easily feasible. All right, so Nirosha, you can do this, not that you can't do, but it all depends on what type of a methodology that you're going to go with. You can get this data, but what does your third chapter, what does your methodology look like? Are you planning to do your proving of your model based on secondary data through formulas or whatsoever? Or you need to send something out to get people to respond to your questionnaire. If that is the case, then you need to think whether you can do everything on secondary data. In that case, you need to have access to the company, to the market. Otherwise, it's not going to work, isn't it? You agree? Right? So you can work on secondary data, but your methodology and your approach is what's going to be different. As I said last time, that finance person was able to do based on applicability of formulas, was able to prove the model, right, based on the ratios and the workings, and then say like uh, this is how the person basically proved the model. So there it was very much possible. In your case, if you're not able to do so, what is the methodology that you're going to use, right? So that is going to be something important. Okay, Nirosha. Okay, right, let's move on. So now that we got the symptoms, now we need to justify that there is a problem, right? That there's a problem, right? This is basically proving the point, and you need to prove it with evidences that basically guarantees that there is a problem, right? That guarantees that there's a problem. You can't like all these, well, if you say there's a problem, you can't, right? I mean, like you need to say where is the problem. I mean, my simple example is like, say you go to the board meetings and you say staff are unsatisfied, they are demotivated. They will ask, what makes you say so? Then you would say like, okay, look, because like I see them like they're taking too much of leave. They just want to clock in and clock out, right? They're not bothered anything more than that, right? And then Okay, that can be a routine thing, but how do you say it's a motivation issue, right? Then you may have to prove, look, we did a survey, this is the result. Or you can say we offer this number of promotions, nobody wants to take this promotion, right? We offered them to go for workshops, this number of people said no. So these are clear indication that they are demotivated. So now that is how you justify to the board. You can't go to the board and say like, I think staff are demotivated. And if they ask you, how do you say it? No, I know. No, on what basis do you say it? No, I just had a feeling. You can't say those. No, you have to prove. So you need to think of it from this angle to say you're proving it based on this angle. So when I say justification of the Sri Lankan Airlines, right? Here you will find that I've got data to prove that we never. I mean, this is an old data, guys. And now I hear that the Sri Lankan Airlines is on the dot. They're leaving on time. They're arriving on time. So it seems to be things are working, but I do not know. This is what I'm told by a person who is actually piloting a aircraft, right? So I would basically trust the person, right? So you look at it, you find this data basically going, indicating, saying that the airlines are not arriving on time, not departing on time. This is the benchmark line, but unfortunately, this is what is happening. Right? This is what is happening. Okay. Right? We are not able to keep the benchmark figure of 85%. Right? So now I have justified. Now my question to you is the dipping of this profit, the symptom, right? Is it because of this, or do you think there are other reasons to it? What do you think?
Will be other reasons as well.
There are other reasons, maybe maintenance issues, old aircraft.
Exactly. There could be several other reasons, no? Right? It can be the in-flight service. It can be the, what you call the infrastructure. It can be the poor marketing. It can be what you call poor connections, right? Uh, so it can be the organizational overhead, top-heavy overhead. It can be excess staffing, right? It could be because of expensive processes. So there could be so many reasons. But the symptom can be said like, look, there is something wrong here because of the profit. We are not making profits. But at this point, I can decide which way I want to go. I have taken on-time performance, sorry, on-time arrival and departure, whereas another person can take about customer service complaints that have gone up. It can be in-flight complaints. It can be what do you call the overheads in the organization management, right? So there can be issues like that as well, guys, right? So there can be issues of that nature as well, right? Look at Samsung. Samsung also I'm justifying by customer complaints report. Here I'm saying, okay, look, these are the customer complaints that I received for Samsung. I'm saying, okay, look, these are the product codes, right? These are the product colors. And I could say, probably it is this product, product 3 and product 4 may be the most problematic one because their bars are actually increasing, right? The product 2 is also kind of increasing, right? Except product 5. So you could maybe say like, look, these are the high-end products. So therefore, the sales versus sorry guys, the sales versus the ratio of complaints may be crucial, right? But it is the same rate. But if you look at the others, maybe the sales and the ratios are not necessarily that bad, but still there are more complaints for the product 2. Maybe the product 2 is the lower end model, which majority of the people are able to afford and use, right? So that could also be another reason, guys. So here what I'm trying to prove here is like, look, I can justify. So I said earlier, like Samsung has a problem here because of the market share, but I'm just justifying saying this is basically the customer service, the poor quality of customer service that is actually putting them into a problem, right? Because of the complaints that we have received of the customers. Is this clear, guys? So you know how to differentiate between a symptom and a justification. So the justification enables you to take a point, right? Justification enables you to kind of take a point which angle you want to go, right? Which angle you want to go, and you can turn it the angle that you want to take it as well. Is this clear? Tell me, guys, is this clear? All right, because when you come into a chapter 1, I want you guys to very clearly have your symptoms and your justification. And you know the justification will lead you to take into any angles that you want to, right? Right. So that is something that you need to understand. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Let's see another option. Let's see. If I were to see, if I were to say that, okay, look, it's an issue at the, if I were to take the Sri Lankan Airlines, right, to problem in the angle of customer service, what would I take? What is the data I would bring to justify? What would be the data that I would need to justify? If I were to take the Sri Lankan Airlines case, the symptoms is okay. But if I would take the angle of the research into customer satisfaction, what is the data that I need to bring to justify? Number of complaints, Damayanti, yes.
Customer review?
Customer reviews can also come in. Customer complaints can also come in, right? Those two can
Custom
actually.
feedback.
Sorry?
Custom feedback, sir.
Yeah, customer feedback, right? There's an analysis of the customer feedback that can come in, right? So, you know, like, I mean, the symptoms can be something, but justification I can bring it the other way, right? If you're basically looking at it is a structural issue, right? Right? It's an organization structural issue, and you want to head it from the structural issue side. What type of data would you bring in? What type of data would you guys bring in? Sorry? You can say divisions-wise performance. Yeah, you can bring divisions-wise performance for teams. So say, okay, look, we need to do the teams, right? But we're talking about there are issues in regard to overhead, structural overheads is the problem. How do you bring it in? Not necessarily employee turnover also, yes, it.
Improper communication, sir.
Sorry?
Improper communication.
Yeah, improper communication, what's the data you would bring? I mean, it's more than improper communication we're talking about. the symptom is saying there's something wrong, and you feel it is to do with the structure, the customer service, the structure, not customer service, the structure. The structure is too heavy or whatsoever, right? You can bring data like the number of senior managers, the number of middle managers, the cost for the senior managers, the cost for the middle managers, right? And that can be an indication as to how it has been in the last several years and how it is now. Right? Comparatively, you can do years and show this is how it has increased now, right? Rather than the turnover. So you could also say like, we used to have this number of senior positions earlier 2 years back, but now we have gone up by 25%. We have gone this by another 30%. So those are indications as to there is something.
So employee turnovers and the training records also can be shown. Yeah.
That can come under, how do you say, that can come for you if you're talking about the motivation side. But if you're talking about there are structural issues, staff leaving, unless you pick it up from the interviews, exit interviews, how many people said it is because of the structure that they don't get promotion, this and that and everything. Then you can take it's a structural issue, right?
Yes.
And then that's an okay thing. Otherwise, it's going to be a difficult one, right? So you need to bring the relevant data to justify. You can't bring turnover, but you can bring turnover of staff who left because they were unhappy with the structure. That can be a structural issue. Or you could say where people left because of, I mean, you can't bring you can bring a turnover based on exit interview. You can bring things like the cost to the company, the top cost of the company, which is going up because of the new positions that have been created, or the number of positions that have been increased at the senior level and the middle level. Right. So these are things that you can come out with to justify there's a problem in the structure. Right. Right. You could also take in regard to, like, I mean, the performance divisions performance you can take, but that can be a problem related to team, right? Because it's a division performance. So you could talk about conflicts. You could also talk about structure also there, right? Maybe structural issues, but then you could also talk about communication issue when it comes to that, right? So you need to be very careful as to how do you bring data and how do you clarify that data. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Any questions? All right, good. Okay, guys. Guys, if you don't mind, I'm not feeling too well, so I need a break because I'm also having gastritis issues. So, do you think I can get a 20 minutes break, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll try to be back around, say, 8:25, 8:30, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi everyone. Are you back?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So moving on, right? So we're basically seeing, okay, look, there is justification of the research problem that we have different ways in which we can actually justify based on a particular symptom. You can actually justify and take it on different angles, right? That is possible, right? And we kind of see some of the scenarios as well. Even here, Samsung, if you look at Samsung, we could also take scenarios and situations where, like, rather customer complaints. We could also look at whether we can take branding, marketing, right? That could also be another problem. Maybe if you can bring in data to show the market, what do you call, the amount of investment that has been done in the marketing, or the number of sales that has been done, right? Or the number of, how do you say, the cost of repairs or warranties that have basically been what do you call, warranties that have been honored. All those things can actually give you another set of data that you can think from different angles, right? So keep in mind, you can actually have different ways of justifying things, right? So once you have done your problem symptoms and you have justified the problem, you can actually come to re-emphasizing the problem through the research problem section, defining the research problem. Here, what you do is you re-emphasize the symptom and the justification, not with any data, but maybe with a paragraph to say that, look, overall, you are saying this is what the problem is for the, this is what the problem is for your research, and that is what is going to push you to do the research, right? So you do the research problem. Now, although the research question comes at the middle of the section of the chapter 2, it is actually the question that actually turns out to be your title, guys. It is actually a question that turns out to be your title, right? That turns out to be your title, right? So for example, right, I mean, like we talk about the airlines, arrival on time, etc., and so on. The research questions are directly tied to that question, right? There is a question that you are writing it differently because it is that question that is actually pushing you to do the research, right? You have a problem, there's a symptom, there is a problem that you're justifying, there is something. And then the question that you're asking is, does scheduled departure of airlines improve profits? Right? That is one of the main questions. Now that is your questions. So now if you look at your title, we also saying title is scheduled departure of airlines improves profit. But our question is, does scheduled departure of airlines improves profit? This is what we are trying to do. Does scheduled departure of airlines improves profit? This is what we are trying to do, right? So that you can actually look at it and say like, look, yes, it seems as though that there is a valid question because your revenues have come down. There's a delay in departure, delay in arrival. And then there is obviously this issue where like we're talking about the departures, right, are delayed beyond the benchmark time and the arrival as well. So airlines improves profits if there is scheduled departures and so on. That is what you're trying to find out, right? And in that process, you're also trying to see what are the factors that contribute to the scheduled airline departures as well, right? So the primary question is, does scheduled airlines improve profits, right? But the sub question is, what are the factors that helps you to have scheduled airline departures? That is what you're trying to do, right? That is what you are trying to do, right? So do keep that in mind. So if you take the Samsung side, you see that, okay, does customer satisfaction improve market share? And then the sub question can be, what factors influence customer satisfaction? So your primary question is, does scheduled departure of air, so does customer satisfaction improve market share, right? Because that is what your title is, because you're showing that the market share of Samsung is coming down. There are complaints that have gone up, you're justifying it. And now we are looking at, does customer satisfaction improve market share, and what are those factors? That is what we are looking at. And that is what we are looking at, right? Any questions in regard to setting your research question, guys? Vijayanti coach again.
Sir, is it okay to do a qualitative one, not a quantitative one?
Yeah, you can do a qualitative one. That's no problem.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir, can we take a topic like that? I'm doing a finance specialization. Regarding the recent economic crisis in Sri Lanka, many of the, especially the fixed income employees, for an example, government servant, and some sectors difficultly affected. So can we take a topic that the current economic crisis, how it's affect the construction employees or some other particular sector?
See, you are saying, you are asking about how it has affected, no?
Yeah.
So that is basically looking for, okay, this job is not there, job is not there, and so on. So your problem is here, you should say that jobs have been affected, right? Now, what is the solution for that? That's what you're trying to look at, isn't it? Right? Thus, understanding the factors during economic crisis enable better employment. Right? Because if you go to say, like, I want to know how the impact has been, you are doing an impact assessment, not a research. Right? You're doing an impact assessment.
Okay.
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 Sir,
Yes.
sir, when we mention, when we decide the questions, research questions, do we want to concern about the words, starting words like if we use impact or finding, if it can be affect to the research, I mean, analyzing part for the data? Is that any effects regarding connections in between these words and analyzing parts?
Can you come again, please? I couldn't get it properly.
If we select impact, impact of the finding something else, and we can, as you mentioned, what are the factors like this, if these words, that questions words, starting words, can be affect to our analyzing parts, I mean SPS analyzing parts.
No, it doesn't have that impact. That won't have much of an impact. Okay.
Yes, sir. And other questions, when we decide the questions, do we want to concerns about this, that is measurable one or unmeasurable one? Is that also we have to go through this kind of things, sir?
No, see, if you're asking a question, you do not know what the answer is, no, at that first chapter, right? But yes, I mean, obviously, does scheduled airlines have an impact on revenue or increases revenue is a clear indication that, like, okay, you're asking the question, does it help in the revenue? So you're going to find the answers, right? You're going to find the answers. You are not basically going to what do you call measure anything, no? Right? You're going to find the answer whether because of this there could be this problem. Right? That's what you're trying to do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. Right. So the next question that we are going to see, the next section that we would see here is basically objectives of the study, right? What is the objective, right? Now, if you take the objective for both these scenarios, right? If you take the objective for both these scenarios, they can be easily defined as well. One is basically like, as you know, you have the question and the question itself becomes an objective, right? Question itself becomes an objective, right? So if you see here, one of the important things that we're trying to do here is basically look at the objective, which is to see whether there is a relationship between the scheduled departure of the airlines and the profits, right? Because you just need, so you're trying to see whether there is whether the departure airlines will actually give you profits. And then you're trying to see now is that whether there is a relationship between departure airlines and profits, right? Okay. And then to identify the factors. That's the other thing that we're trying to do. Identify the factors that will basically give you the the answers for what are the factors that influencing scheduled departures and enable you to have profits. The third one is basically to enhance the knowledge, right? The third one is basically to enhance the knowledge of your understanding of how to do the research, how to find the answers, etc., and so on. Right? Okay, so is that kind of clear in regard to the objectives, right? Is that clear in regard to the objectives? How do you set the objectives? If you really see like that, you have to set the objectives in regard to the research, not in regard to the, what do you call, you might think, oh, I'm going to do the objectives, I'm going to find a solution for the entire industry. No, you're not going to find a solution for the entire industry. The objective is limited to the research. So in this research, your objective would be to see whether there is a connection between the departure airlines on schedule and the airline's revenue, right? And then you find the factors that are going to contribute, right, to the scheduled airline departures, right? That is to understand. So you're trying to do that as well. And then in this process, what will happen is you will enhance your knowledge in the subject matter, and thereby you will also provide recommendation to overcome the challenges, right? Simple 3 objectives. There can be other objectives also based on the question that you raise, right? So you must see that there is a clear relationship, clear, what do you call a clear written thing about the objectives, the questions, etc., and so on. Okay, is that clear, guys? Any questions? Any questions, guys? If somebody has typed something in. Do we need to select the area of only Sri Lanka? Currently, I'm living up. No, you can do a research in a company that is in your own country where you are in. That's no problem. It need not be only in Sri Lanka. Unlike the assignments, you can always pick it up from wherever UK, Dubai, wherever you are. You can actually take the take a company in that own country, right? There's no problems in that. Am I confusing, guys, or you guys are okay?
Oh, frankly speaking, still not okay, sir, but we will try to understand.
No, I mean, that's why I kind of have the entire scenario kind of laying out with the same objective so that you could kind of see the relationship that's coming in, right? You can see the relationship that's coming in. So that's something that is something that is easy to understand. So Marine is asking, do you recommend we choose a small business company related problem, or will it be too tricky due to lack of formal details, annual reports, articles? I would say wherever you think you can get some data and wherever you have access and where the company is also probably open to do a research to help find a solution for the problem, I think you should actually go with that organization, right? we need to do research regarding company-based ethical issues. Yeah, you can do research in regard to the company-based ethical issues as well, right? You can do research in regard to company-based ethical issues as well, right? There is no hard and fast rule that you can't do, right? That you can't do. So you can also do company-based issues as well. Okay, any other questions? Okay, guys. So once you're done the objectives, we are basically looking at rationale is the justification for the study that you're trying to do. Why is this study significant, right? Whom would it help, right? When you finish this research, who will benefit from this? Do you think the industry people would benefit, the people in the marketing area, the people who are in this profession? It can be your organization, etc., and so on. So it can be the industry, it can be the academics, it can be your organization, there can be new knowledge, the society can benefit from it, right? So that is again an area where you think, okay, by doing this research, who's going to benefit? If you take the Sri Lankan Airlines will benefit. People in the airline industry would benefit. If you are in the operations management, then people in the operations management are going to benefit from this, right? So there would be people who will benefit from this, guys, right? Once the significance is done, you have another section called the limitations. Remember, every research has a limitation. No research is complete of its own, right? No research is perfect. Every research has a hiccup, right? So you need to ensure that you need to understand that, and you need to understand that, and you need to basically balance yourself to understand that you actually have a limitation, right? You actually have a limitation, right? So this limitation can be time, scope of the research is limited, right? Scope of the research is limited, access to information and knowledge, right? Access to information and knowledge, and then maybe access to expertise, right? Access to expertise is also limited, right? Why the domain, right, needs to be considered, right? Why the domain needs to be considered, and then social issues, right? And social issues, right? Because you are doing things in four months, right? So you need to know, like, I mean, there is limited time that you had, right? The scope of the research is limited, even though you want to do industry, but you're able to do only for one company. So that doesn't represent the entire organization, right? And then we are looking at access to information and knowledge. You couldn't have access to a wide range of knowledge. It was only up to a certain number of people, right? It's only a small group. Access to expertise. You didn't have access to all the expertise, right? So that is also a limited knowledge that you have, right? You didn't have access to all the expertise either, right? Wider domain which needs to be considered, right? So you're limited, so which means you need to have a wider domain for you to understand and know how you can actually go about doing this to make this further strong. Social issues can also be there, right? In regard to maybe the limitations in regard to moving around, country context, and all those things, right? So there are so many limitations that you will have in your research, guys. You will have so many limitations that you will have in your research. So you need to understand that, because this is a way of you defending as well, so that you tell the people, like, look, with all these limitations only you went about doing your research, and it is not perfect, but it has certain elements, if you look at it from a very narrow point of view, etc., and so on. Okay. Any questions? So let's see. Don't worry about it. So your last section in your chapter 1 is chapter outline. Right. Your last section in your chapter 1 is chapter outline. Right. This concludes explanations, right, about what the entire research upholds. Right. Like you can talk about chapter 1. It describes the introduction to the study. Chapter 2 mainly focuses on the literature review of theories, etc., and so forth. Right. So these are the chapters that you have, areas that you need to complete as part of chapter 1, right? As part of chapter 1. So when you look at the structure of chapter 1, right? If you look at the background, it's very clear. You talk about the background to the research, your research problem, symptoms of the problem, problem identification, your problem statement, research question, research objectives, significance of the study, limitations, and chapter outline. So let me take you through this again. So the background. Now I'll tell you the story. Sri Lankan Airlines has been in Sri Lanka operating for so many number of years. It was under the wings of Emirates, and then now it is under the government interest. And then you also find that government interest, and now you find that Sri Lankan Airlines has been going through some challenges, and you find other new competitors are doing far better than what these guys are doing, right? So one of the reasons why you took on this research is because you saw, now I'm at the simplest of the problem, you saw because the profits were dipping. The profits were dipping, like especially from 2008. That gave you the understanding there is something wrong in this organization. You further investigate and see, and you find that you got data to show that this or the airlines have not been departing on time and not been arriving on time either. So the problem here is, like, there is an issue in regard to the departure and arrival of the aircrafts, right? And thereby it could have an impact on the revenue. So this is the problem that you have at this organization. So what you're trying to do is, now, because of this problem, what I'm trying to see is whether arrival of airlines and departure of airlines on time, right, improves revenue, right? That is my question. And I'm also trying to see what are the factors that actually help me to get an airline departing on time so that we can improve revenue. So therefore, my objective is, in the first place, is to see whether there is a connection, a relationship between the airlines that is departing and the profit of the airline. My first objective. My other objective is, as I have a question to find out the factors, my second question is to identify factors that enable me to have departure of airlines on time, right? Okay. And furthermore, like in this process, I want to improve my knowledge in regard to identifying research methodologies, how to go about doing how to kind of identify the factors, improve the knowledge, which will also probably give me the possibility of giving a recommendations and a suggestion. That is what we are trying to do, right? However, I feel like even though this research is limited, right, it will have or it will add some significant values to the Sri Lankan Airlines, the management of the Sri Lankan Airlines, the operational staff, the customer service staff, the back office operation guys, right? Academics who are in the field of research as to how to do how some of the problems are in the airline industry, and also to look at also to help academics to identify different ways in which a problem could be looked at and become a case study. So that would be the significance of the study. Now, although I'm doing it, there are several limitations. Definitely one of my limitations is the time factor. I had only 3 months to do this, right, or 4 months to do this, right? So there was a time factor issue. And also you cannot universally say this is for all because if you see, Sri Lankan Airlines is Sri Lankan Airlines. I can't go and apply this to Singapore Airlines because my study is done only in Sri Lankan Airlines. So therefore, there is this limitation where I need to do it with other airlines also to see whether this is really a problem, whether this is actually a relationship between departures and revenue, right? And then also I have my limitation because I was able to talk to only few people in this area. I could not talk to people from this area and this area, in this division. So there is a limitation there also. And on top of all this, like you also find the other limitation is the data was only limited to this number of years, not necessarily for this number of years. So things can be different. However, my chapter outline now basically talks about chapter 1, which gives you a total background of the problem. Chapter 2 is this, chapter 3 is this, chapter 4 is this, chapter 5 is this, right? Did I tell you the story, guys, in chapter 1? Was that clear?
Yeah, finally.
The Gutti Kana again, finally. Finally, as if like I'm at least finally I've said it right.
No, sir. We were
We
scared, but now a little okay.
Okay, the question is poem. Finally, you got it right. Finally, you got your pronunciation. Finally, you got your grammar right. No, I mean, like, true, I was just joking, guys. But I see at the end of the day, if you see, when you read chapter 1, it has to go from one to another. It's like a story, right? You see, it's a story. It is not section by section. From this section, you should automatically fall onto the other section. Even I know sections of it. You understand? It's not a difficult thing, guys. It's not a difficult thing. When I do section by section, it might look difficult. But as you saw me just now, obviously, since I'm doing it regularly, it's a different thing. But it's very easy. You know, I'm telling you the entire story as to what my research is all about. Right? Right? So on. Jayasiri, it is broad compared to departure on time as mentioned by you. Yeah. Jayasiri, I assume you're working for Sri Lankan Airlines. Right? I mean, this is only, that's what I said. See, your symptom, your symptom is for you to support you saying there's a problem. But justification, you can take Sri Lankan Airlines justification into anything else, but it has to be business related, right? You're not going to bring in politics, you can't. You can bring in constant change management, you can bring something, right? The constant change. Or you could talk about lack of training. You could talk about lack of what do you call modernized fleet. You could talk about marketing. So there are so many areas. That's what I say. It's only narrowed down to departures. There are so many other areas, right? So you can bring all those things under limitations. Okay, Ruan says, can I set a topic increasing non-performing loans in Sri Lanka banking sector due to economic crisis? No, I mean, that's already there. The loans are increasing. So why do you want to further increase? Right? What you can do is you can look at, I mean, this is a problem. There's an increase in the non-performing loans. But I think what are you trying to do? How can you reduce the non-performing loans? You could say like, you can take something very simple also. You could say like, I'm going to look at factors increasing the non-performing loans in Sri Lanka, right? And then out of that, one factor can be economic crisis. One could be the cost of living. One could be something. And then you can find 3-4 factors also. That could also be a research, right? Because you're trying to identify factors. factors increasing the non-performance loan in Sri Lanka banking sector. Or you can look at the other way around, say like factors enabling repayment of non-performing loans, something like that. So you can look at from the positive side, how do you increase the non-performing loan? Because last time one of the student did that one in in one of the districts, I think Batiklo or somewhere, saying like the person wanted to lend more loans, right? Lend more loans. He was not talking about non-performing loans. He was talking about to lend more loans. That's what he was talking about. Okay, Damayanti says, without mentioning specific reason, can we do finding reasons? But I can't understand. Suranga, word count is for the entire research. On what basis we can limit? So I would say chapter 1, maybe like your chapter 2 is going to be the 40% of your weightage. So you need to have more words in your chapter 2, guys, right? You need to have more words in your chapter 2, right? What specific topic can we explore in the specialization of business analytics? Appreciate any suggestions you may have. Right. I mean, you can read some books that will give you some understanding. I mean, I guess in business analytics, you could also look at how introduction of AI would improve business analytics, right? I mean, you need to find a problem to see like whether there are issues in the business analytics tools and how AI can be integrated whatsoever. Or you could look at business process improvements. You could look at the importance of regular analytical reports for improving e-commerce or improving market share or improving sales, something like that, so that you go with the business analytical tools. The other one is business process, etc., and so on, something like that. So you can use something like that also. I'm doing project management specialization. Are the problems need to be in project management methodologies? It need not be project management methodologies. It all needs to be a problem in regard to project management. It can be delays in submission, or it can be what do you call constant change in project scope. It can be anything to do with managing teams in the projects also, right? It can also be the yeah, those are some of the things that you could think of. Rizwan, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. That non-performing loans. How can I change this topic?
So your non-performing loans, what do you want to do is factors enabling recovery of non-performing loans, or you can say factors influencing reduction of non-performing loans, something like that. Or you could look at if you want to stick to non-performing loans.
Then that means the banking sector. I mean, do we have to select a particular bank, or can we compare as a banking sector?
I mean, again, I go back to the same answer. You guys say banking sector. How many banks are there?
Yeah.
How many employees are there? What is going to be? Think of your methodology, chapter 3, guys. Right? I keep saying it's not only the problem from where I'm going to get the information. If you're doing a questionnaire, or where I'm going to do the interviews, you need to look at those also. You can pick a big problem, say I'm doing it for the sector, but if you can't have access to people, then you are having a problem.
So can we select a particular bank and
you can select a particular bank. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You can select a particular bank. That's no problem.
So heading also mentioning the bank, no?
Yes, heading you can say ABC Bank. If the bank gives you clearance, you can say bank name. Otherwise, you can basically say ABC Bank.
Okay, sir.
Damayanti, tell me.
Sir, I want to tell instead of the finding losses relationship between the delays and other things, can we make a questions like finding the reasons for the Sri Lankan airlines like this, and we have to find all the reasons and select one thing. Can we do like this?
When you say reason is what? Give me examples.
There are that for the Sri Lankan losses, there are as you mentioned, there are 3-4 reasons can be happen. So those reasons can be without mentioning in the beginning any specific one. Can we go through the finding reasons like this?
No. You have to specific because otherwise, how do you? What are you trying to research on? You're going with like very open thing. What are the reasons for this? So it's again, see, you need to justify why this is taken. See, that's what we say in the business research. What is the problem? You need to justify the problem, right? So if you're saying, okay, you go by the profit and loss statement, right? Then if that is going to be a justification, what is your symptom? What is going to be a symptom? What would you bring as your symptom to say there's a problem?
In here, can we just mention losses and then find in the solutions?
No, still losses are there, but what is the reason for that loss? Now you are saying let's keep it open. We go on to find as part of the research what are the reasons, right? But that is a huge list that you have, right? And again, how do you justify the problem? Because you're only having the symptoms. No, you see the profit and loss. You're bringing it for symptoms, not necessarily for this thing. No.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, like, because like you need to narrow down to say like, look, you find that this is a problem. The symptom is there to show that there is something wrong, and you further investigate and go and you find in this area this is a problem, right? Therefore, you're trying to see how to overcome that problem, right? Because your reasons, that can be a very long list, right? But then how do you proceed without justifying it about? So you can bring the losses for justification, but what is the symptom, right? Maybe the symptom can be, you need to look at symptoms, maybe the poor passenger rates. So that itself is automatically a reason for the losses, poor passengers, right? So why are we having poor passengers? So then you can have the huge list. No, it can be politics, the infrastructure, this and that and everything. So you can say in that case, for an organization to be profitable, it has to have these things here listed up. So what we did was we further narrowed it down.
I saw there is some research. Those reasons are finding from the literature review,
Right.
and then these reasons then analyze from the questionnaire. It can be.
No, I mean, that must be a PhD research for them to do things, no?
Oh, is that so?
I think so. I think so, because like from your literature review, you need to kind of pull out. So that's what we're trying to do. See, when we say what are the factors that are basically going to enable you to have scheduled departures, you are going to literature review. In your literature review, after reading all those things only, you are basically coming into the factors that you identify. You understand? So it's the same approach. There again, if you go and see, they would have justified the problem, right?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Ali Sharif, your research has to be in line with your specialization, huh? Right? Okay, Nirma, would you mind sharing few research dissertations from past batches? I think they're available in the library, Nirma. You need to access the library to get it, okay? All right. Zaki, tell me, I think it was Zaki, right?
Yeah. So basically, I'm from an apparel export manufacturing industry, and I am following MBA in business analytics. So basically, I want to know, in our own company, we are in the process of digitizing the processes from an in-house a normal scale software to an ERP. So we are converting the whole organization to an cloud ERP platform. So can I use this as a research method with the real real case, business case?
But how do you link it to your business analytics? How do you justify your problem?
So basically, we don't have a proper end-to-end system to monitor or analyze data of production and sales order, forecasting, or previous manufactured data, something like that, based on data.
Right.
So that is the main reason to move to an ERP, to plan and
Then
to
you're
analyze
talking
data
about,
and
yeah. So you are basically talking about what do you call making operation efficient, no, by introducing technology, right? So under the business analytics, how do you bring it in? So in that case, you may want to see automation of business processes, right? Enables efficiency or something, right? But then you need to justify as to where your delays or losses or what do you call, workload whatsoever, to prove that there is a problem, and thereby you're automating it. So you're basically looking at automation, but is there a business process change?
yes, the operation is changing in certain areas.
Right, right. Okay. So in that case, you can justify and you can basically take the business process angle, right? As to maybe what you could do is you could talk about business process re-engineering for efficiency through technology or something, right? Then you bring in the ERP piece. So you're talking about the business processes, so made efficient by introduction of technology, right? That is something that you can do. You understand, because you can't bring ERP in directly, because then it becomes a technological automation, so on, right? So you have to, since you are in the business analytics, then you may want to look at these factors. Another thing that you could look at is, like, maybe you could say, like, what do you call? You could look at regular analytical reports enable better business decision making, and then you could talk about the delays in your business processes, and then how ERP factors like ERP can help you. There is that option also, right? Because your analytical reports are not on time or like, I mean, it's delaying or whatsoever, right? Something like that. So you can't directly bring in an ERP here unless you bring it with the business process angle, right? Is that clear, Zaki, or you need some clarifications?
I got some heads up, so let me review on those points and get back to you.
Yeah. Maybe next time again we could talk about it. Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, Gihan, under business analytics, we did social media analytics as well. So can we use that for this research, like impact of social media for business prospects and market share? Rather than seeing social media for business prospects and market share, you may want to look at how analytical social media analytical reports improves business performance or market share, something like that, so that you work with the analytics. It's not social media. Social media can be only content generation, it can be just targeted marketing, etc. But what we are looking at is beyond that. We have to talk about social media analytics, where those analyzed reports are basically giving you insights to make certain decisions or topic, targeted audience, etc., and so on. Right? So you're talking about impact of management misfunction of business income. So you're talking about management. See, you're talking about the impact. So that is basically a post-mortem, like no an impact, right? But you need to talk about impact of management. So you must talk about what is misfunction you're talking about. What is the misfunction? Is it dysfunction of management? Mismanagement? BK, okay?
Hello, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, this is not related to the content, but I was checking for the presentation because this presentation elaborates very well about the chapter 1. So just wanted to keep this for reference. And I looked at the location that ICBT shared, and under the name of chapter 1, actually ICBT has uploaded the previous presentation, the introduction.
Right.
So this specific one is not available, even though the name is there, but name is actually for a different presentation. So could you have them upload this one?
Right. Sure, we'll do that. That's no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, this is a common question. To do this thesis, do we get assigned to a supervisor or a someone that we have to report to when we are doing the project?
You were not there in the last class, is it?
Yeah, I missed the last session.
Yeah, so you will be given a supervisor, right? You will be given a supervisor.
And how about the topics? Will they arrange the topic, or are we supposed to prepare our topics?
No, you will have to go with your own topic.
Okay, with the given guidelines. Huh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so you're saying, sir, if I'm doing my research on especially my company, should I mention the company name on the research question? You don't need to mention the company name in the research question, but you can actually ask them if it's okay to mention it in the title, or you can go with the anonymous question. That's no problem. Okay, so you're talking about mismanagement, right, BK? Yeah, you could talk about tackling mismanagement, factors enabling tackling of mismanagement, right? For better for sustainability of the organization or something like that, right? You could do something like that, right? But then you need to also prove that there is mismanagement. How are you going to prove there is mismanagement? Or you need to have some data to prove that, no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So Vijayanti, like your title seems okay, but I think you can do something better than this title also, I think.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I am Zaki again. Regarding the apparel manufacturing, so I just came up a topic like enhancing operational efficiency through ERP implementation. So that will come as a data-driven approach.
Yes, but then again, when you say ERP implementation, you are basically tackling it from the angle of you're tackling it from the angle of what do you call, not the business process or business analytics, no? Not the business process and analytics, no? Like you're talking about this thing, no? I mean, like what do you call adding the ERP into it. So how do you kind of bring in the business analytic piece? Can you read the title again, Zaki?
Like enhancing operational efficiency through cloud ERP implementation and a data-driven approach for the ABC company.
Too long, no? Too long. When you say data, they see how do you say it's a data-driven thing? Fahad, I think you need to mute your mic, Fahad. Right. So, no, see, when you say data driven, so I'm trying to see where do you bring that data driven angle, because you're basically looking at a manual process becoming an automated process, no?
Correct.
Right? So there is automation. So I don't know, in your business analytics section, in your syllabus, we talk about automations. Do we talk about automations?
We have data process.
We have data processes. We have business process reengineering probably is there as well.
Correct.
Right? But automation,
We have business process data analyst.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So we're not talking about automation. So the minute you're saying you are bringing cloud computing, right? So cloud computing is mainly from the angle of, see, it's more of the automation angle that I get. I'm not getting the angle that it's a business analytical thing. Do you understand?
Correct.
So you must see business.
Oh, I should look for some in the machinery area where I can think of IoT, making the machineries as a linking with the IoT device.
But that again, you're moving into technology adoption, no? See, the business analytics, if you're saying data driven, how are you looking at data driven? So you basically need to say, maybe you need to look at from the angle of saying, okay, uh, digitalization of capturing data, right? Enables better analytical reports or something like that. Right? Because you can't bring automation directly.
It should be part of business analytics as well.
Yes. Marina.
So can I ask?
Yes, Fahad, go ahead.
So you told to get some get help from AI also to selection of the topic. Okay. In this scenario, for example, I have so much of ideas to get a topic or the research thing. So if I find an answer for the structure of chapter 1, the background researchers, so if I want to search from something with AI, so whether what I'm selecting a correct subject or something, so can I go through this background check, these kind of scenarios, answers, so will it help? So that you have given research background, like a story you told, no? So my research, what I'm going to do it, if I put it to AI, so if I can get these kind of answers, so it's probable that that research topic is be fine to submit.
Okay, now my question is, you want to do something in AI, is it?
No. You told to get some help from AI as well.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Use ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever. See, for whatever it is, you need to know that you must have a problem. What is that problem? And then for that problem, you need to start finding, right? Because you can find a good topic.
Yeah, sir. Okay, we have several problems. Okay, we will import that one, and if you find out the you gave us last slides chapter of structure of the chapter 1 background research. So if we can find a good answer or suggestion from AI, so will it be a good research?
Yeah.
We have
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, see, you can see what Zaki was saying. So if Zaki says, look, this is my problem, how do I convert this into a business analytic research? right? And you just work with it, you work with the prompts, and probably it can give you a topic and an answer to say like, look, I mean, if this is your problem, then why don't you look at something like this, right? Right, but the problem is it will give you. You also need to have the logical thinking to defend it when it comes to your proposal and your viva.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So you can use the help of AI, that's no problem.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Marine, I'm aware of small scale brand who's struggling to reach customer followers via social media, therefore low sales. So based on this, can I go ahead with the topic for social media analytics? Yeah, you can go ahead for something like this, Marine, no problems. Any other questions, guys? All right. So if there aren't any other questions, we'll call it today, and I'll probably see you guys on Monday. Okay.
So there's an additional question about prescribing drugs, right?
It says, if I take a topic like impact of drug prescribing practices and patterns, no. See, the minute you say impact of drugs, prescribing practices and patient outcome in the hospital, you're trying to do a survey to understand how this thing is working. That's it. What is your problem? What do you want to research on? Right? So you need to find out what is the current impact to know what the problem is. Right? So this is not a fact-finding mission. This is more of doing a research to find a solution for a problem or to find answers for a problem. Understand, Avanti? Yeah.
Sir, I have one idea, right, regarding topic. It's like how remittance help for the Sri Lankan economy. Is it okay?
Come again?
How foreign remittance help for Sri Lankan economy?
You can, when you say how, you're basically, again, you're putting a question as your title. Okay, you say if that's your question, how remittance helps Sri Lankan economy, then you're going into your title as inward remittance improves economy. But
No,
then the problem
no,
is,
no. I mean, how important foreign remittance for Sri Lankan economy? Like how it's important, how much value, like that.
yeah,
If
but
I
it is
discuss
more
like,
of it is more of a research in the economic angle, no? It is nothing to do with the business administration, no? Right? It's a good read. It can be research in the area of social science, economics, and so on, but not necessarily in the business administration, right? No, right? Because if you're not there last time, I said it has to be business administration. You can't go and talk about like gender balance. You can't talk about poverty issues. You can't talk about LGBTQI issues, all those things. But you need to talk about, if you're talking about inclusive workforce for better prosperity, that's a different thing, right? But if you're looking at these as separate topics, then it won't be able to come under the MBA. You understand?
okay.
Any other questions, guys? see this prescribed drug prescription practice, right? You need to see, I mean, if it's again, it's a social issue that we're trying to handle, no? Right? What is the business problem here? What is the business problem here? We need to look at the business problem also, no? All right, guys. So just, it's okay. I think we have got a good start. I mean, I think the questions that you are asking, the questions I'm rejecting, doesn't mean that you are bad. All what we're saying is positively that you're starting to think and you now know, like, okay, you're looking at this angle, but this angle is not going to work. It's going to be this angle. I need to look at, it's not about going, what happened because of this? No, it's not about what happened because of this. It's about this has happened. What are the reasons? What could be reasons for it? That's what we're looking at.
Yes, I hope after 7 session, no, we'll get good idea about what is the correct topic and how to select it.
You are waiting for the 7th session. I'm saying every session by the 4th session you should have some topic so that the 7th session you are ready for it, Kiela.
No, before 7, I'm trying for before 7, but in case I mean.
No. I mean, like, no. See, it's the same with us also, guys. When we also do it, we also have the same problem. It's not that you guys are having a problem for the first time. Everybody's having a problem, right? Because we are used to doing surveys, we used to do researches, but when academically, when you need to start thinking like this, that is where the problem is, right? Right. Okay. All right, guys. What else? Shall we go for a drink now? Friday night, ne? Ammo, butcher, Santos, and
Not yet.
Yes, sir, maybe 2-pack will help for us to find a topic.
Oh, okay.
It was when a topic. All right, guys. I'll see you then. Take care then. See you on Monday.
Okay, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.